A king, the most powerful man in the British Empire. He had everything: wealth, power, the world at his feet. And he walked away from it all for a woman who was married to someone else. This is the scandal that shook the world. Welcome back. If you love history's darkest secrets and royal scandals that changed everything, you're in the right place. Today, we're diving into the true story of King Edward VIII, the man who gave up the British throne for love. Or was it really love? By the end of this video, you'll know secrets the royal family tried to bury for decades. If stories like this fascinate you, smash that like button and subscribe, because what comes next will blow your mind. Let's uncover the truth. To understand this scandal, you need to know who Edward was. Born in 1894, Edward was destined for greatness. He was the eldest son of King George V, heir to the British throne, future ruler of 1/4 of the world's population. But Edward wasn't your typical royal. He was rebellious, charismatic, dangerously modern. While other princes followed tradition, Edward broke every rule. Picture this. It's the 1920s, post-war world, and here comes this young, devastatingly handsome Prince of Wales. Blonde hair, blue eyes, movie star smile. Women swooned. Men wanted to be him. He wore the latest fashions, he flew airplanes, he danced to jazz. He was the world's first celebrity royal, the most photographed man on earth. The press loved him, the public adored him. But his father, King George V, saw the danger. The king was stern, traditional, duty-bound. He watched his son with growing concern and reportedly said, "After I am dead, the boy will ruin himself within 12 months. That prediction would prove chillingly accurate. Behind the dazzling smile was a man restless, longing for something more than royal duty. He once said, "The thing that impressed me most about America was the way parents obeyed their children." He despised authority, he craved freedom, and that's exactly what made him vulnerable to what came next. Enter Wallis Simpson. She wasn't beautiful by conventional standards, she wasn't royalty, she wasn't even British, but she had something far more dangerous: presence, wit, and almost magnetic ability to captivate powerful men. Born in Pennsylvania in 1996, Wallis came from a respectable but struggling American family. Her father died young, her mother was poor. Wallis learned early that survival meant being clever, charming, and indispensable. Her first marriage was a disaster, an abusive, alcoholic Navy pilot. They divorced in 1927. Her second marriage was to Ernest Simpson, a British shipping executive. This marriage brought her to London, to high society, and ultimately to the prince. They met in 1931 at a party. Wallis was 35, still married, and frankly not impressed by the prince. According to her account, their first meeting was unremarkable, but she was different. She didn't fawn over him. She treated him like a person. She challenged him, made him laugh, and that's what hooked him. By 1934, the relationship had become serious. Edward showered her with gifts, jewelry worth fortunes. He called constantly, showed up unannounced at her apartment. His family began to worry, because here's the problem that was about to explode. A divorced woman could not marry the King of England. It was constitutionally impossible. The king was head of the Church of England, and the church forbade remarriage after divorce. Wallis had 2 ex-husbands, both still alive. Edward didn't care. He told friends, "I cannot live without her," and he meant every word. January 20th, 1936, King George V died. At 41 years old, Edward became King Edward VIII. The British Empire now belonged to a man secretly planning to marry a twice-divorced American woman. Within months, Edward's obsession became an open secret in London. They were seen everywhere together. He gave her jewelry that belonged to his mother and grandmother. The royal family was horrified. The British press stayed silent. There was an agreement to keep the king's private life private. But American newspapers had no such loyalty. American papers published photos and stories about the king's mystery woman. British citizens traveling abroad returned home shocked by what they'd read. Then Wallis made her move. October 27, 1936, Wallis filed for divorce from Ernest Simpson. The decree would be final in 6 months. Edward's plan was clear: wait for the divorce, then marry Wallis. Except the British establishment was about to say no. Prime Minister Stanley Baldwin met with Edward repeatedly. The conversations were brutal. Baldwin laid out the facts. Parliament won't approve, the Church won't approve, the Commonwealth won't approve, the British public will never accept her as queen. Edward had 3 options. 1. Give up Wallis and do your duty. 2. Marry her and trigger a constitutional crisis. 3. Abdicate the throne. Edward was trapped. For weeks he barely slept. Government papers piled up unsigned. He paced the palace corridors at night, chain-smoking, looking desperate. Then, in early December, a bishop criticized the king publicly. The British press finally broke their silence. The king's matter exploded across front pages. The country divided, the government panicked, the monarchy teetered on the collapse. Edward had to choose, crown or Wallis. He chose Wallis. December 10, 1936, Edward signed the instrument of abdication. With one signature, he ceased to be king. His reign, 326 days, never crowned, no coronation. On December 11th, he addressed the nation by radio. Millions listened worldwide. He said, "I have found it impossible to carry the heavy burden of responsibility and discharge my duties as king as I would wish to do without the help and support of the woman I love." The woman I love. Those 4 words echoed around the world. Some heard romance, a king sacrificing everything for love. Others heard selfishness, a man abandoning duty for desire. Edward's younger brother became King George VI, a shy man with a stammer who never expected to rule. But duty called, and unlike Edward, he answered. This abdication had one massive consequence nobody predicted. Because George became king, his daughter Elizabeth eventually became Queen Elizabeth II. If Edward hadn't abdicated, Elizabeth would never have been queen. One man's choice changed history forever. Edward and Wallis married June 3, 1937, in France. No royal family attended. They lived in exile. Luxury, yes, but hollow, purposeless. Edward went from ruling an empire to what? Parties? Golf? Being a curiosity? He drank heavily, fell into depression. He'd given up everything for Wallis and now had nothing to do. And Wallis? Evidence suggests she never wanted him to abdicate. She enjoyed being his mistress, not his wife in exile. Letters reveal she wrote to friends expressing regret, even desperation. But publicly, she had to play the role of the great love. Then came the scandal that nearly destroyed them. In 1937, they visited Nazi Germany, met Hitler, toured military installations, gave Nazi salutes. There are photographs. Edward had fascist sympathies. During World War II, the British government considered him a security risk and exiled him to the Bahamas. Declassified documents reveal the Nazis had plans involving Edward. The greatest love story or the darkest scandal? So what's the truth? Edward died in 1972. Wallis in 1986, buried together at Frogmore. Was it love? Obsession? Selfishness? Probably all 3. What we know for certain, his abdication changed everything. Without it, Queen Elizabeth II never reigns.
The modern monarchy looks completely different. What do you think? Should Edward have followed his heart or his duty? Drop your answer in the comments. I read every one. If this story fascinated you, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more royal secrets. Check out these videos next for more scandals that shook the world. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.